Yes, Mr. Karthik.
Hi, Naveen.
Yes, Mr. Karthik. Thank you so much for joining in. Yes, for the audience, we have a next session, which is a keynote presentation, which is on scale up security for cloud IT management and future of IT trends. So this will be presented by Mr. Karthik A, who is the chief evangelist of ManageEngine, one of our sponsors for the event. So yes, Karthik, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Naveen. Let me share my screen right now.
Perfect.
I hope it is visible for.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So let me begin with a quick introduction on today's topic. The growing trends in IT add much O's to the administrators, to the O's of administrators in terms of security and management. Cloud IT management has already gained momentum, and organizations look to move towards cloud IT management to reduce on imperative IT costs and maintenance. A security loophole like a configuration mismatch or missing security patch or unapproved data access or excessive privilege to users can dearly cost you much on IT and your business. So in this session, I'm going to talk about ways to scale up security for your cloud IT management infrastructure. And these security tips are applicable to the future trends in IT as well. You could have hosted your infrastructure in a public, private, or hybrid cloud, and you would have chosen a service model for your business like infrastructure as service, or platform as service, or software as service, or backend as service. And cloud IT management will include all these that I have mentioned here, but it is not limited to this. So it includes help desk and service management, assets and CMDB, which is configuration management database, desktop and mobile device management, identity and access management, security and information event management, network application server management as well. And you'd have chosen a private, public, or a hybrid cloud to host these services for your IT. But the major concern these days is to ensure security of your internal and external data. So the next few slides, I'm going to discuss the right security strategy to adopt for cloud IT management and future IT trends. So the first step in this approach is to augment endpoint security to proactively detect and defend against cyber threats. So why is vulnerability an area of grave concern to organizations? The major challenge of growing organizations these days is the increasing number of endpoints. With the steep increase in the endpoints, traditional antivirus, file scanning, and security solutions are no match to the security loopholes that these devices pose to the network. In a study conducted by ManageEngine, close to 37% of the respondents didn't use any kind of endpoint protection solutions or were just in the process of evaluating potential security solutions. The same study had identified that around 33% say that their biggest challenge with the endpoint security solutions lay in its complexity of deploying, management, and using the solution. So when it comes to vulnerability assessment and threat mitigation, you have to scan the endpoints regularly to detect vulnerabilities and mitigate them immediately using patches or alternate fixes. Early identification of imminently exploitable threats that require little or no user intervention. You have to put the vulnerabilities in context to understand their priority, urgency, and impact. You also have to prioritize the response, such as patching, mitigation workarounds. You have to avoid hefty fines for not conforming to cybersecurity compliance and regulations like HIPAA or PCI DSS. Patching might also interfere with the ongoing operations of business. The security configuration management on workstations may include the following, like firewall audit, the ports that have to be allowed, the applications that are allowed to run, etc. Password policies, like the strong password policy and frequent password changes. Microsoft Office security, identifying the location to store documents securely, set passwords for critical files. Secure remote desktop sharing, which includes user approval for sharing, transfer of files, and recording sessions. You also have to manage the network shares, disable the default shares, and ensure shares are accessed through a password. Log out and log on security. You may have to include an multi-factor authentication for logon activity, manage user rights and privileges, escalate privileges only when it is needed, user account management, which includes disabling the default administrator login, guest login, or friend accounts, user account control, which gives you options to control on user account activity, the default path of storing the files of user accounts, and finally, preventing browser-based attacks by managing the plugins, extensions, and browser add-ons. The enterprise patch management will include automating the patches, automating the installation of patches, use a single agent to distribute patches for all applications and software, have a single console for patch management for Windows, Mac, and Linux, or the hybrid operating systems that you may have in your organization. Ensure patching is done for both Microsoft and third-party applications. Ensure that you have a flexible deployment policy like after office hours, shutdown or restart policy after applying the patches, and so on. All patches have to be applied after testing and approval. When it comes to application control, there are the applications that are installed on individual workstations. Keep a list of blacklist and whitelisted applications that are allowed or disallowed on workstations. Administrator access has to be removed on all applications and software. You have to provide a just-in-time elevation of privileges to users so that they can install softwares. You don't have to provide them with administrator privileges all the time. Have control over child processes of applications to be doubly aware of processes that do not invoke any virus or ransomware attacks. Provide application-specific privilege access to users and workstations. When it comes to endpoint privilege management, adopt a zero trust security model and enforce role-based privileges to all users irrespective of the hierarchy. To all the whitelisted applications, you can allow self-elevation of privileges so that users can do a self-installation of trusted software or applications within the network. Also remove all unnecessary local administrator accounts, which when left unnoticed can be a security loophole in your organization. When we have to talk about device control, you have to take control of all ports and connected removable devices, block unauthorized access to your data, and monitor all device and file actions effectively. Prevent data loss with a strict role-based access control policy. Set read-only permission, block copying of data from devices, and that is what is meant as file access control. When it comes to file transfer control, you have to limit file transfers by setting maximum file size and type of file. Create exclusive access for devices to access your computer by adding them to trusted device list. Create secure and temporary access for devices to access your computers when they want to access what they want to access as well. Effectively secure files involved in data transfer operations by creating and storing mirror copies in password protected shares. Monitor file actions in real time. Record salient details like file name, location, along with computer devices and users involved. And that's how you actually go ahead with device control actions. When it comes to file shadowing, you may have to do a data mirroring, which is preventing loss of sensitive files by storing a copy of the file in a secure location. So how do you prevent data loss, or what are the benefits of having a file shadow policy? By reviewing the share folder with the copied data, the actual content of the stolen files can be identified. And this is the first step in a quick and cost-effective recovery, and a crucial one, and it enables organizations to assess the damage and construct a precise remediation strategy. When a network failure is caused by malware injection that leads to corruption of original files, business critical data frequently accessed by remote users can be restored from file shadow remote share folders. Since file details and information about endpoints, users, and devices are documented, impacted users can be warned to change their passwords and encrypt their intellectual property, financial records, or redact their personal data completely. When it comes to browser security, you may have to gain complete visibility of the browsers present in your network, their versions and details of their add-ons, mandate the use of trusted or approved browsers in the network. You may have to deploy a simple and straightforward policy configuration to secure browsers from security breaches, exercise control over installation and usage of browser extension plugins. You should also discover computer compliance status with security configurations and achieve 100% compliance in this regard. Automatically direct legacy web applications to legacy browsers when opened in modern browsers. Assign specific Java versions to web applications based on requirements. Enforce kiosk mode with IT approved websites and business web applications. Securely handle enterprise sites away from malware contacted through untrusted sites. Control access to the internet by providing or denying access to specific sites. Restrict file downloads from unauthorized websites and ensure secure browsing. Gain insights into your network to see which websites and web applications are being used. So these are all the factors that you may have to consider for browser security. When it comes to mobile security, you have to consider these factors, like if the corporate-owned mobile device is lost or stolen, you have to remotely wipe off data, either personal or corporate or both, depending on the use case. Detect and report high-risk and non-compliant devices that do not conform to organizational standards and policies. Allow only enterprise apps to run on mobile devices so as to ensure optimal performance of the mobile devices. Separate the corporate apps from the personal ones and ensure such corporate apps cannot be accessed using a 4G or a 5G network to prevent data theft. Ensure all the mobile devices are compliant with the policies for Wi-Fi, VPN, or password, or app configuration, and much more. When it comes to SIEM, you have to cut down your log storage spending while ensuring security of log data collected from various devices. Audit security events and meet IT compliance requirements like PCI DSS, GDPR, or HIPAA, or much more. Access and manage log data from anywhere. And finally, scale up your network architecture without worrying about log volume. And if you had actually listened to the previous panel discussion, analytics was also a part of security. So you may also have to consider data analytics when it comes to scaling up your security for cloud IT management. When it comes to data analytics, you want to look in for a software or a cloud vendor which provides augmented and predictive analysis of data. You may have data from all verticals like service desk, network, server, application availability and performance monitoring, fault management, user management, security, information and event management, desktop configuration and patch management. So gather all the data in a single location and try to project data with so that you can transform data to information, to knowledge, to wisdom through collaborative analysis of the data that has been collected. And you also want to have a rich visualization of data, which can help you with interactive dashboards and easy to use reports. Finally, you may also want to receive alerts when a data breaches a threshold. To further enhance your security, you may also consider storing passwords in a centralized vault, provide secure remote access to IT resources as and when it is needed, and revoke the access once the job is done. Privileges can be escalated as and when it is needed, so as to start with the minimum privilege to all technicians. Keep monitoring the activities of privileged users, and if there is any deviation in the identified in the usage or pattern, you can escalate it as a security breach and take necessary actions thereupon. Ensure password and active session management is protected for your DevOps resources too. Finally, maintain application and database passwords in a centralized vault and rotate them frequently as you do for other IT resources like network devices, routers, switches, firewalls, and much more. So when it comes to UEBA, which is user entity behavior analytics. You have to record the user and entity behavior through log collection from workstations, servers, domain controllers, and network resources. Allow a grace time for the behavioral patterns to be identified and recorded, and any deviation in the pattern is associated with a risk factor that will help you to identify insider threats or account compromise or data exfiltration. When it comes to data security, you have to first discover the data, find, analyze, and track sensitive data, which is known as personally identifiable information, audit file servers, monitor, report, and receive real-time alerts for changes made to files and folders, analyze storage, analyze and identify redundant, outdated, and trivial data to declutter your file servers and cut storage costs. And finally, when it comes to compliance, you have to choose the right one based on your industry and business strategy. PCI DSS for banks and financial institutions, GDPR, the widely used general data protection and regulation, ISO 27001 for security standards, and much more. So with this, I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to wait for some questions to be posted on the chat window.
Thank you so much, Karthik. In fact, very informative, very well presented. So yes, there are quite a few questions. Of course, I would want to put that across to you on a personal note, send it across to you to answer it personally with the delegates who have requested.
Sure.
Of course, considering the time, in fact, we are running late by about close to about 17 minutes now. So we have our next panelists who are waiting. Yes, having said that, thank you so much. And ManageEngine is one of our sponsors, so request the delegates and the other participants to visit their booth under the exhibitor. And if you have any questions, further questions, or any queries at all, you can drop in there. We have executives from ManageEngine who are seated there to answer or to discuss anything at all with regards to their capabilities and solution offerings for the region. Yes. And also for the delegates and of course sponsors and speakers, we have launch access where you can precisely request to meet any specific delegate or anyone for that matter, and you can have video chats with them, and also you can schedule meetings maybe later today or anytime during the week using the launch access. So request you to please do take a look. And the platform is open till about 6 p.m. today. So make full use of the networking opportunity that the platform has been customized for. Yeah, thank you so much there, Karthik. And again,
thank you. Thank you, Naveen. Take care.
Pleasure, Karthik.